was that one? Okay. Yeah, if you can, that would be nice. We're gonna have some thunder soon. Okay. How was it? Okay. Okay. You can do it on the fly, yeah. Like when it's needed. Mm-hmm. But is there like a limiter or something here in Discord so it doesn't clip? No, actually, when the sound goes too loud, uh, if you don't have a limiter, it starts clipping and distorting. But if you put on a limiter, then it doesn't like let it uh, over evaluate. But okay, at 0. Can you maybe share your screen to me? We can manage. Yeah, yeah. Uh-huh. This was the default. Okay. Uh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Uh, keep the threshold at 0, because yeah, then it's just limiting the, yeah, and that's fine. Oh, hello, hello.
All right. Welcome, everybody. I think there may have been a few seconds when you saw us playing around with different numbers. That is for your benefit to make sure you have an awesome sound quality today. Uh, I would like to welcome everyone to Earthians Unscripted. Once again, as we have been doing every single Sunday for 7 weeks now, going strong. This week I invited a new guest, Rivo Kingi, and it was a new type of experience for me to invite Rivo on the stream and on the show because unlike all the other ones, I had purely a feelings-based desire to invite Rivo. So we haven't discussed it. We actually never had a really long chat together before. But based on the post, the few interactions that we did have, I felt that I want to invite Rivo on the show, and that's why Rivo is here with us today. So Rivo, welcome to the show. I'm glad to have you with us.
Hey, welcome. Welcome to me.
Yes.
Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you, Dima.
Yeah, nice to meet you as well. I mean, we had some, how would I call it, business interactions or interactions while doing business, and then kind of somehow I learned that there's this whole other side of you that to me seemed more interesting.
Yeah. For me, it was just play. It's recording these videos, and we're talking about Arctic 15
Right, yeah.
that you did a couple of years ago. Was it 2 or 3?
2 or 3 years ago, the one where you were at, I think.
Yes. And I recorded this after movie,
Yeah.
and this the first connection we had. It was, I know this is a good guy. This is a good guy doing good stuff.
So, I mean, tell me a little bit about, like when you post things on Facebook, they seem to be of very, very much about consciousness, very much about
They're
inner,
pretty far and deep stuff.
yeah, far and deep stuff, right? So, what makes you do that? Why do you, what's the calling?
Uh, Actually, I have been thinking about like releasing releasing my visions and ideology for many years actually, but I never dared to do it. I thought like, oh, maybe people gonna like think it's like kind of crazy in the head or something, and like get the fuck out. And then I finally thought like, what do I have to lose? What do I have to lose if I'm real? If I'm being honest about how I see the world, and how life comes together from all these pieces. And when I released my first story, uh, the feedback was so unbelievably motivating, and like so people were so thankful that they got something from there which gave some value to their lives.
What was
And
what was that first story about?
I think it was I think it was let me actually, I've been putting like little stories into my Instagram for quite some years already, just like captions describing something deeper. But now I put them all up into the blog, and they can really get some more exposure.
Yeah. What was the, what was the, do you remember what was the core message, that people responded to the most?
Uh,
At least in that first story.
I think that the connectedness of us all. It's like, yes, we are physically like separated beings, but the consciousness that uh, that drives us is one and the same, and that 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 feeling of oneness within people gives life a totally new filter, and that filter is more loving and caring, and because you see everyone you see as yourself. uh, I think it was yours.
And but if we go deeper into the nature of this consciousness, right? How did you, I think I know what you mean, right? But how do you, and a lot of people talk about this. So a lot of people talk about the
Yeah,
fact that
yeah.
we're all connected, we're all one, and we should all act as one. We're all connected to each other and to everything that's happening. But I know that at least at some point, many years ago for myself, I did not necessarily feel that. right? I did feel it. I learned how to feel that, right? But I think without really feeling it, it's really hard to tell somebody that this is the truth, right? That that's how it is. It's very
Yeah,
easy to go like 1 + 1 is 2, especially to like logical, rational-minded people. But then like to get
that's
them to be like, hey, the whole world is connected. I think it's a more difficult thing to do. Have you had that experience also?
yeah, of course. Actually, that's the thing. Uh, you have to personally experience it to really understand. If you haven't experienced, if you're only listening to the stories and reading it from the books, you don't really get it.
Right.
It's you have to get the experience internally, and there is no other way to know, to understand what it is all about. It's going in, not going out. It's going in.
And how do you think, like, how would you recommend someone to start going in? Like somebody, let's pick a person who's like, super rational. They basically need a reason for every single
Hmm.
thing, right? So how do you recommend them to start looking at the world to experience that feeling?
Uh, music, music is a really important part of it for me because I've been making music for most of my life, and music just the frequency of music can transcend dimensions. It's interdimensional thing. It's not even a thing. It's just a vibration,
Right.
uh, and music can take you to places you couldn't even imagine. And when you uh, combine it with some meditation and breath work, uh, then you're off to time traveling and doing this, living in Harry Potter world.
I know
Yeah.
I know what you mean, and I think like music for me, at one point I discovered about 2 years ago that I've never listened to music, or 3 years ago, right?
Mm.
I kind of
Yeah.
like it was always this background thing that I enjoyed and I liked and everything, but I never really, went fully in to really listen to the music and to really try to feel every single vibration, every single sound, if it's with words, to understand all the words, and really fully experience it, right?
Yes.
Even like at classical concerts, I used to go to quite a few classical concert music, and I think I love classical music, but I think before I used to go to classical music concerts to get um, I don't know, to because it was the thing to do if you wanted to position yourself and your ego as a person who is cultured, right? But it wasn't like a real thing. It was more
Uh,
like I'm doing it because I want to be cultured and I'm going to
uh,
receive my dose of culture. And only 2 3 years ago, I for the first time really listened to music. And what was interesting for me is that I didn't just listen to it; I actually saw it. So for the first time, like I closed my eyes and I was listening to music, like I started seeing like a physical representation and drawing of the music being created. And I was like, wow, I didn't know I can do that. And now whenever whenever I listen to music like properly, I like lie down and close my eyes and fully listen to music, but I watch music. It's more like a Netflix
mhm,
show now,
mhm.
and you go deeper. And that's why we also got an LP player. So now instead of listening to Spotify, we actually have to take out the physical LP and put it
Mhm.
on and put it on top and let it spin, and then you have to listen to the whole thing. So
Yeah, it gives it like a kind of authentic feel.
right, the quality
Yeah.
is worse. right? But
Yeah,
the feeling is better.
exactly.
Right?
Because the nature of reality is dirty, and you gotta be a little bit dirty,
Yeah.
even on the music which has these cracks and all these gives this dirty texture to pleasant out. Too polished things are
I,
not the best.
I like that. I like to think about the fact that the nature of reality is dirty or chaotic or whatever. It's
Chaotic yet really organized. What might seem like chaotic to us is like from another perspective is perfection.
yeah, it's interesting. I was thank you for bringing that idea. I was just thinking about it the other day. I started this new hobby of baking bread,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't buy yeast from the shop. I make it myself.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it grows in a jar, and then when it grows, um, the cultures, and I put it into the thing, and I make the bread, and it's beautiful bread. I was trying to figure out like what's the difference between say that bread and the yeast that is chemically produced. And what I realized is that the yeast that is chemically produced, when it creates these the holes, little holes in the bread, they're like almost perfect, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
they're all like structured, like almost like lines. And the one from like natural yeast, it's the same holes, right? But it's just like chaotic, it's messy, it's a big hole, small hole, tiny hole, everything together, and that gives you so much more texture, so much more richness to life. And I think
Mm-hmm.
that when I saw that, I was like, wow, that's like a metaphor for what you just said.
That's nice. That's nice. It's like the best thing to learn is to learn from actual life happenings. You know how you do things in life, and like integrate this knowledge and wisdom with real life examples. And that's the best way to learn, I guess.
What about you? When you say chaotic, what do you mean when you say it? Like how do you experience it?
Uh, chaotic, like kind of what does chaotic mean? Actually, it's like something out of my comfort zone, which seems to be too distorted. I don't know, something like that. Uh, that's exactly what's chaos for someone is not chaos for the other one. It's there is no chaos actually. It's all very well organized
Why do you think it seems like chaos to us?
because we have learned to live our life a certain way.
Yeah.
We have been programmed to be what like who we are. Every parent has their own vision for raising their children. Uh, every teacher has a different way of teaching. All these people who have given teached us, have held us. Uh, they all programmed us to be who we are right now,
Yeah.
and that vision is is kind of limited. And when something goes off that vision, uh, it might seem like chaos to you. But if you broaden your vision, if you expand your mind and start to understand all the negativity and all the shadow stuff that seems like chaos, I don't really want to deal with it. I want to be in my safe place, and if you can transcend that idea that you always have to be in a safe place, uh, then you can really start living the life, like experiencing life in all its richness, without denying the nature of reality. It's like we got two polarities. We have in this reality we have duality. We have plus and minus. This is what makes the molecule spin and all this stuff. It's the most fundamental thing. It's the movement of energies.
Yeah.
But if you only accept for yourself only the positive side, for example, then you can't have peace in your life because there's always the negative, which brings you into a kind of unease. You don't want to see that. You don't want to feel that. It's like the world is falling apart. It's the perception you give to this. Um, it's starting to learn to accept the whole as as a totality, which
Right.
can't be without the chaos and all the negative stuff. It's 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 life.
I think
That's life.
I think I know what you mean, right? For me, it's also um, when I look at it, to me, when I realized that every negative thing, or negative thing in quotes in life, has a positive element. Every positive thing
Exactly.
has a
Yeah.
negative element. I don't believe in the fact that there is a de facto um, positive thing, right, which is like only positive, or a negative
Mm.
thing which is only negative. It seems like it, and it's no. I think you can argue some of those things very directly, and it will be a painful argument because there's a lot of emotions involved.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But I think I agree with you there that I think if you try to see both in your life, I think it will be easier to kind of fully experience the fullness of life, right? And I think it doesn't have to be only metaphysical, right? It can be
Yeah.
very, very, very practical as well, right? So
Exactly.
when I talk to people about it, I also kind of try to explain that even in business, right? People think, and this is like very practical, right? And they just go like, well, I need to work, I need to hustle, and I need to make a lot of money. And to do that, I need to
Mm-hmm.
be working the whole time, 80 hours a day and stuff, right? I think we talked about it in one of the previous episodes as well. And then to me, what I say is like, well, look, if you take your heart, right, it has a beat and it has an offbeat. It has a beat and it has a break. Beat and a break, right? So why do you think that if your heart needs to have a break the whole time, that you don't need one, right? That you don't need to actually have, you have to also be in the same rhythm of life, right? You need to also be oscillating between positive and negative, right? If
Mm-hmm.
you just force yourself to stay on one side fully, completely, forever, I believe it will always, cause you to crash. And in a business environment, it causes you to have a burnout. But in an emotional environment, you might have an emotional crisis at some point if you don't notice these oscillations. And I think it becomes very practical as well. Like if you look at it, I mean, also in the business world for me, which is where I apply a lot of the things we talk about here, is simple things like um, if you have a dualistic thinking where something is bad and something is good, then say I hire a person and they make a mistake or they make something bad for my company. It's very easy in this normal 1-0 life to be like, that person is a bad person and they made something bad for my company, right? And then I have to punish them or fire them. But then when I think about it, and that might still be true, I might still need to fire them, right? But if I think about both sides, I also learned the gift that they brought to me, right? I learned the fact that, okay, they made this thing, but through that thing, the positive side is that they uncovered, perhaps for me, a hiring problem, right? Maybe the way I'm hiring is not working very well. or maybe the way I teach people to onboard into the company is not perfect, right? And then the mistake was not actually theirs, but was mine. And then because I can look at anything from all sides, I think it helps me to figure out what best to do. And if I look only from one side, then I might be very one-sided, and then I think that can have a real cost on your life.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. It's this if you can really see the positive side of the negative stuff that happens, then you don't label it as negative anymore. You take it as a lesson, and actually the the negative stuff is the stuff that teaches us. If our life is good, we don't really learn anything from there. We just enjoy it. But what really grows us is exactly this kind of moments that you just described. And yeah, it's like having this neutral way of observing the things, not being the situation or the things, but being the observer, and analyzing it from different angles, and really like getting the point of that happening at that time. It's all these synchronicities and little hints. If you can put all this together, it's it gives us like this broader vision.
I'm curious to ask you a question, right? You seem to be the right person to ask that question. Um, Through learning a lot about the things that we talk about, I think that I have myself been able to basically put myself in a happy place, right? To be pretty much satisfied and happy with life. And my feeling is that when you do that, you kind of, one of the downsides of that is that you have less of that energy of problems that drives you to do things, right? A lot of people, they do things because they see problems. And if you don't see problems, I'm curious, what do you think would drive you then, right? If you actually, you see everything as potentially positive or potential negative, you don't have this natural engine, perhaps, of negativity and suffering that keeps you going forward. So what do you think, is that the same for you sometimes? And like, how do you deal with something like that?
uh, it's actually not the problem itself, it's your perception of it. It's the problem is still there, but the perception you have towards that problem is easing. It's You don't get attached to it, you just look it from farther away, and you still do what you have to do. It doesn't mean like bypassing, just yeah, whatever, doesn't bother me, not that. uh, you still do everything that's needed, and you learn, you integrate, you learn, you integrate, and you do. It's
How I want to come back to music a little bit, perhaps. I think music is an interesting tool, and I think there's many tools that you can use to get these levels of understanding. But can you tell me more about like how do you use music yourself to help you to practically to help you in life?
uh, I like to make music and produce music, and play music. It's all this practice. It's like something magical. It's something. Some energies are working in you. Inspiration is coming from somewhere which you have no idea, and something comes out. And yeah, it's it's an interesting process, and
I
it's
see
what I.
you have quite a few musical instruments behind you as well.
Oh yeah, I have. I have some. Yeah, these are. There's a gong. There's a singing bowl and other small ones, and some other stuff also.
Can we hear
Yeah.
some?
Uh, yeah, probably. But I would maybe do it a little bit later,
Sure.
if it's okay.
Yeah, of course. Totally,
Uh,
totally feeling based.
hmm So I think right now we can like go on with the talks,
Yeah.
and we can end the show with a little set there.
Oh well, that would be very cool. I love that.
Yeah, that's nice. But okay, when I talk about my music and how it came to my life, I think I've always been like this performer trying to like play, and as a kid when we had like birthdays and stuff, we always performed something to some song and did all this playback, and I think it started from there actually. And when I was a teenager, like 14, 15, then my desk mate in school, uh, he he started learning guitar, and then he told me, "Hey, Rivo, you know, let's make a band." I'm like, "Okay, so what am I gonna do?" "You're gonna sing." I was like, "Okay, I'll never sing, but I could try." And yeah, we started a rock band, and like did some Deftones covers, and
Oh wow.
some pop punk, and yeah, it went pretty nice. It was a nice time, and like traveling around, getting gigs, playing gigs, and yeah. Then at some point the band broke up, but I started like doing my own music, producing some, and then I had a couple of like DJ production projects. One was Centron,
Hmm?
which was the like the latest where I released some stuff also, an EP. But
Producing
the thing
some.
with that was that I kind of grew out from this music. It was like hard bass music, with a really funky touch. Uh, but when they wanted to release another stuff, I was already changed,
Yeah.
and then I got to a point where uh, I got pretty stuck in music. I had like inspirational crisis, and it seemed like everything is falling apart because music was the only thing that I did. It's like uh, I got all my income from gigs, so when that music wasn't coming anymore, I got kind of frustrated, and then I made the choice that okay, uh, I will see you later music, but I have to do some other things. And then I stepped away from it for like 3 years,
Yeah.
and then I picked up a camera and started taking photos and shooting video. And I always knew that I would probably like it, but I started loving it, really, really. And
Is that like? But both are still very much art related endeavors.
they are for me they are very similar. It's just the way you produce and create this is a bit similar. And I feel that the knowledge of music and working in these with these programs and everything, it helps me so much to also create the visuals.
Mm.
and I ha- I kind of have this musician's perspective. Sorry, my phone. Someone's calling.
Well,
So yeah, having this musician's vision is you feel it differently if you
I think we may have lost you there. Maybe due to the phone call, perhaps. I guess maybe the universe wanted to give us a little bit of music through the phone, and I think it's also one of those things, right? You know, when things happen, you can have different reactions to it. And I like that while we're waiting for Rivo to talk about it, and I think in Zen, what I like a lot is they're actually waiting for these things that are unexpected to happen, and that one of the goals is to be like, well, how do you react to it? And kind of I think that is so necessary in our world, because very often when the unexpected happen, we go into a stupor, or we become really upset or angry or frustrated. When on the other hand, you can see the other side, as we talked with Rivo, you can see the beauty in it, right? Like we're talking about the music, and suddenly music started playing, and I personally find that, well, it doesn't need to be just a necessarily bad thing. Nor the fact that Rivo has disconnected, although that I hope he reconnects back as soon as possible. At the same time, it also gives me the space to talk about things, right? So I think that's also one example of differences, and I think.
sorry, I was gone for a second.
And then you're back. Don't worry. I filled in for us. I made a important philosophical point while you were gone, but I think you're back now, and
Okay. Give me a second. I
no worries.
just have to. Uh,
I just said that, maybe the universe wanted us to hear some music, and then the phone started playing music. So
yeah.
it's you know as I was explaining, it's not necessarily bad, as we just discussed, with this good or bad things. So, but I'm glad you're back with us.
Yeah.
Hope it wasn't something too
So.
important.
Yeah, I hope so. Okay, so where we were talking about music, yeah, music. So lately, lately I've really been feeling music again, and I don't take it as a job anymore. It's more like just a thing I like to do, and I don't put it depending on the outcome, the result, and the income of it. I set it free from that, and then I can really do it from the heart. When I don't have this financial pressure, it's 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 exactly this where these visuals and the music are playing together. The the visuals are getting me the income, and music is more like a hobby right now.
Hmm.
But it used to be the other way, so it has flipped.
Interesting. Do you think?
Yeah.
Do you think, like, when it comes to music, that there is like, clearly when I listen to music, there's some kind of music when I listen to, and when I watch the music, the images in my head, there's playing nothingness, right? I don't feel the quality being put in, especially with a lot of modern music. At least my feeling, and I don't know if it's just mine, is that it's there is not enough quality put in. I feel that it is kind of just created for the mass market and consumption, and not for artistic purposes. And then there's sometimes, like, unknown artists with an extreme artistic side, which I go like, well, that feels real, that feels honest, right? Like, do you have the same feeling when it comes to music?
Do I have the same feeling?
Yeah.
Or yeah, exactly. I very rarely listen to any commercial music because it doesn't give me anything new. Uh, I listen to music which is unpredictable, which is like more like experimental, and you can hear new stuff that you have never heard of, and new feelings, and you get from that so much, and it's inspiring.
Is it similar to this, having a bit of chaos in it, a bit of randomness, a
Exactly,
bit of noise?
exactly. Yes, yes. This
No,
randomness is beautiful. Actually, if you start seeing it as beautiful, that things don't be exactly like that. That
yeah,
it's this is the beauty of it. That it's natural. It's not robotic.
right. At the same time, sometimes when I hear, too experimental music, um, sometimes I feel it as music, and sometimes I feel it like a collection of sounds, right? So, like to me, there's some sort of a distinction there. Like sometimes this music becomes really music to me, and it's like
Mhm.
I feel the beat, if you want to do that word, and another time I'm kind of like, are they experimenting too much?
That's the level. Like some people are on another level, some are maybe lower, and they perceive this music very differently. Like for maybe this guy, that's like a deep musician, and is living in a totally different universe. He gets it differently. For him, maybe it's just normal music, but for someone uh, who is used to like more commercial stuff and radio music, for them it might be totally chaotic, not music at all.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
it's all there. I like to say that there is no bad genre of music. It's the perception you have towards it, like how you perceive it, and also the moment should be the right. You can listen to one song at one place, and when you listen to it in another place, it doesn't have the same thing.
Right. It might have
It's
a
also, yeah, this all this environment adds so much to the music.
yeah. I mean, I told you before, but your home right now, even though it's in Estonia, looks like a Bali. So
My Bali in Estonia, my Bali
your
in
Bali in
Estonia.
Estonia, I can definitely feel that if you're there, it definitely kind of calls for one kind of music, right? But if you are in a busy street or maybe driving in a car, it might call for a different kind of music. And I think it's important to
Hmm.
like try to feel which one it is.
Yeah. Uh, yeah, keto.
Yes,
I have thunder. You have a kid.
yes. He is 4 months old right now.
uh, Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful music to my ears, even when he cries.
Exactly. Yeah. So, is there any other stuff you would like to go over?
Well, I mean,
I would.
it's really also, I'm curious, like if what you feel like, if you have any questions you want to ask or bring about. I'm also curious. Every time when people say yes to come to this show,
Mhm.
because it's completely unscripted, right? There's no plan, there is
Yeah,
no
yeah.
topic, I don't know if we're gonna play music or if we're gonna be talking about computer games or we're gonna be talking about philosophy. Like it's always so random, right? But I feel the same way as I think with music. I do this because of that bit of element of chaotic element, right? And
Mhm.
sometimes the chaotic element can help, sometimes it doesn't. But one thing that is interesting to me is like, why do people say yes, right? So something made you say yes. So maybe you have some sort of element you want to bring in or something you want to ask or discuss.
Mhm. Uh, Okay, maybe actually I've also written about it. Maybe we can talk about what is authentic love. What is unconditional love? It's so much talk, especially lately. Unconditional love. But I think people don't really get what is unconditional love and what is love at all. It's all love and light, and but do we really get it? How do you see it? What is
Yeah,
your
I mean,
vision of it?
for me, thank you for asking that question. I think for me, love has been, and maybe that's, you felt it right in a sense, because for me, love has been the almost a central theme of my life for the majority of it, right? Because at some point, somebody said that if you have that, then nothing else really matters, right? Like if you find that thing, then that thing is the holy grail to everything else. Um, and it's interesting because while I was searching for love, while thinking about it in those terms, that makes love conditional, right? Because
Mhm,
you're basically saying that I want to find somebody who gives me something in exchange for my attention, and this some like it's a
mhm.
transactional thing, right? You're kind of going
Yeah.
like, right, like I'm gonna like the condition is like I'm gonna love you and you're gonna love me on the
Mhm,
condition that we both make each other happy, right?
mhm,
It's a trade agreement almost that we are making between people. So that to me is what I feel is conditional, right? So it's kind of like you have to give me something, right? And you kind of almost feel a bit of ownership or something of the other being, which is not possible. You can't own other people, right? You can't own another soul, even even if the weird contracts say that, or when you hire people or whatever, right? But it's not really. So to me, when you have this desire that love will make you feel better somehow, and you're making that internal contract, to me that is a condition, so that is conditional. When you don't have that, right, and it's hard to describe something you don't have, it's hard to describe the emptiness of a thing, right? But when you don't have that condition and you don't have really conditions, and you simply have a desire feeling to be with the other person, I think that is unconditional. But at the same time, like I'm not sure if there's truly such thing as completely fully unconditional, right? It depends. It's kind of, there is fully completely unconditional, I think so.
I think
But
it there should be this tiny of something to like if we totally let everything unconditioned, then maybe you could save your partner's life
right,
when but if you're like totally it she does what she wants.
right.
uh, I totally trust her and let her totally free. Yes, you kind of do it, but not 100%, maybe 99.
Well, I don't know. I mean, to me, the way I see it is similar, but kind of I see that there's this unconditional core. Like the center of the
Yeah.
love is unconditional, right?
Yes.
Like
Yes.
the
Yes.
core, the main thing, the why of your partnership and relationship, of the why of why you're together, that part is unconditional. But of course, you still
Hmm.
do things like, we live in the same house, so there are immediately, hey, well, how do we arrange the practical things of our life?
Hmm.
You have
Hmm.
children, you have to arrange that. Who watches the kid one day, who watches, like, you do the conditional things anyways. But I think the core of it is unconditional. But I think, to me, to get to that core, one thing I had to really learn is the fact that we as a society, we're given like the wrong reasons of why we need to have relationships anyways in the first place. right? So we have said, you have to have a family, you have to have kids. This will make you happy, right? But not necessarily, one. And two is like, is this the real reason for me to have a family? And again, then it becomes a conditional thing once again, right? But I don't think too many people, unfortunately, ask themselves the question of why do they actually want to have a relationship with another person? And if they do, then in which kind? What kind of
Mm-hmm.
relationship do I want to have with another person? Right? There's so many possibilities, so many options, so many ways of structuring the relationship between two, three, or more people. So I think it's very important to get to that unconditional thing, to ask yourself, why do I really need it? And for me, me and Valerie, like it's the most important relationship of my life. It completely transformed me, changed me. I grew as a person. We have a kid, so everything in this relationship works for me, and it changed my life incredibly. But at the same time, I think the moment that happened was when I let go. When I let go of the condition, right? So I got what I wanted in the end, but it only happened when I let go of the goal. So I
Mm-hmm.
was like, I can be happy by myself. I can be happy. It's not a necessity to have a relationship of the type that I thought of before. Right now, when I know why I want to have a relationship in the first place, then I think for me it works completely differently. And I think, like, one, you need to ask yourself, why do you even want to have a relationship with, not just romantic, but any kind of relationship with other people? Like, why do you want it? What's interesting for you, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And I don't think people
Uh,
ask that question enough at all from each other, right? They just, friends are more like random acquaintances that happen to be at the right time at the right place, right? We don't even choose our friends carefully enough. We kind of just we go, well, we happen to be in the same time and place, so we are now friends, right? But like,
mhm.
why do I want to be friends with people in general? And I think that's important to ask that question.
Yeah, yeah. It's. I feel that that people are searching for love from the outside,
Right.
and when they get it, they might feel happy. Yeah,
For a bit.
maybe for a bit, but after some time, the excitement goes away, and then the problems come up, and all this other stuff, because uh, we're like clinging to that partner to get what we want, this happiness, and it's frustrating. It's frustrating. It's there's no trust there. There can't be no trust, because if you set your happiness depend on other people, then you gotta control it. You gotta control it, that he or she doesn't fuck it up, for you, for you. There is so much ego uh, involved in this transaction, that this kind of relationships are going to be toxic. But exactly like you told, if you let go of that outcome, and if you really go inward, really go into yourself, find out who you actually are, what's your goal in this life, what's the value you want to give to the world, really, really find out that truth within, and just do it every day. Love it, love it, love every aspect of it. And if you resonate that frequency, and do the stuff you love, people, it will affect so much people. They will feel that energy, that confidence, that message you want to give. And when then someone comes into your life, this is from the real energy, from the real energy that you are, because you resonated it, and it attracted someone into your life, uh, who might not be a perfect match, but as well might be. But you're this is the moment where you have given away this wanting to be someone, or wanting someone to be for you the perfect person. There is no perfect person. Everyone is just as perfect as the universe, or as unperfect as the universe. It's both yes and no. It's the paradox.
Yeah,
And
I agree with you there, and I think that that's very beautiful. And Valerie actually just commented in YouTube that like the unconditional love is one of a mother to her child, and I think
mhm,
me that's the perfect explanation of the core, right? So like when a child is born and you as a mother you're bonding with a child, that is pure and that is the core of this unconditionality. But I think even with parents, some parents later on they build the conditional layer of onions on top of it. You have to go to this school and you have to live your life this way, and then I invested all this money into your upbringing, you have to give it back to me now, and you have to look after me when I'm old. Like you start creating the conditional layers and onions. The unconditional love never goes away, you still love the child unconditionally, but I think that it's a perfect explanation to me is like how the onion of conditionality can actually be built upon what was originally an unconditional love. And I think that's what resonates with me when you speak about it as well, that if you like try to get rid of that onion as much as you can and as often as you can.
yeah, peeling off, not like it's how you get to this core of yourself. It's like how you find out you have nothing to gain. You gotta release. That's the only thing.
Yeah,
It's when you find out these parts that are not really you, that don't resonate with you. It's like if you can look at life situations and see that, okay, that gives me a little bit uneasy feeling, so that's not really you. You teach that. You see why you did that, why you acted like that. And when you really like digest it through, understand the matter of it being in your life, uh, then you can release it, but not until you understand it fully.
yeah. I think this is, you explained very well the concept that is often called, the concept of not doing, non-doing, right? That very often
Mhm.
people think that in order to grow or develop or have a better life, you have to do something. But very often you actually have to consciously choose to stop doing something, or to not do something,
Exactly.
or to change how remove the behavior that you have that is preventing you from doing something, right? So it's sometimes much more about stopping doing things than it is about starting doing things. um, and I think it goes very practical, like diet, sports, and whatever. It's very often about stopping certain behaviors so you can start doing the right ones, and not
Mhm.
just starting pile new behaviors on top of the thing you don't know what it is.
Focus is the key. I also used to do a lot of different things. There was so much that my energy went like everywhere. But none of these things got enough attention or enough energy. And then finally, when I like threw some stuff away, I could have more energy for the most important stuff, and it really made me much more confident in what I do, and I think it really helps if you really find out what you most love doing, and stick to this one thing, and maybe have a little side hobbies or something.
But it's very
But
hard to
really,
find that one thing.
Yeah, it is.
For
It
some
might
people, it's very hard.
actually it's not like finding that and sticking to it, because it might change. Like my like I used to do music all day, every day, and then I totally gave it up for 3 years. It's this might flip, but really being present and doing this stuff that you really love the most at that time, right now. Uh, I think that this is the key, like really being present and doing what you love. Nothing can't go wrong. It's if you're doing what you love.
That almost sounds like a song. Nothing can go
Yeah,
wrong if you do what you love.
maybe maybe I should make a song of it.
Maybe you should.
Yeah, but it might be pretty hard at first to stay present, and especially nowadays, where we have so much distractions and so much stuff happening. I think that's one of the reasons why I like to spend my summers here in that place.
In
It
Bali.
has no in my Estonian Bali,
Yeah.
but it has so much like peace and calmness, and I can really clear up my headspace and create this perfect environment for creation, and I really enjoy doing it here, and also having some friends over occasionally. It's the creativity and social aspect should be also like balanced.
Mm.
I feel it lately very much, because sometimes I'm that kind of person who doesn't go out very much and only sits in his crazy music world. But like getting out, talking to people, having this social impact, it brings so much more.
Yeah. You get energy,
Yeah,
of course, from
yeah.
other people. I mean, again, that's also what for me. I almost feel that one of my ways of music is like talking to people, right? Me, that is one thing I truly enjoy. It gives me so much more thoughts and ideas, and sometimes also removes thoughts and ideas, which is equally as important. But again, as you said, not many people talk while being fully present, right? So I think that is like in music. I think that is an important part of actually communicating and talking, of like fully being there. And in some ways, it's a bit difficult, for instance, to do it online, like you and me. I mean, I'd rather prefer to come over to your Bali cottage and talk there, and I'm sure we will at one point.
Hmm. You are welcome here.
Well, we will take you up on that offer. Looking at that picture, I can't say no with a clear conscience.
That's nice. That's nice. Uh, okay. Uh, it's about time.
Do you
So
feel
should we?
the music energy coming?
Yeah, I might do it. Yes.
I personally would
Well,
love to hear it, and especially with the feelings of what we discussed about love, and that I think for me at least
mm,
created a lot of emotions and feelings that I'd love to hear through music as well.
okay. Okay. So I have like a small 5 to 10 minute session here. Um,
But let's see how it works through
okay. Let's try.
Let's give it a go.
But I think then I don't hear you very much, so I will go into my
Yes.
music world.
Good.
Okay, I'm back. So that was just a little improvisation of some sound healing. I would call it like healing session more than music.
Yeah.
It's more like a emotion expressed with different musical instruments.
Yeah, you said you're back. I'm not.
You're still tripping, eh?
Yes, I'm still in the journey. I'm
That's
I'm still
nice.
coming down. Thank you for that, Rivo. I think that's
Yeah,
a beautiful conclusion to our chat and our discussion. And sometimes I think not everything needs to be said in words.
yeah. Uh, Music carries so much information, and you can speak without speaking, and sometimes it tells even more than just some words. It's the feeling is always more important than the words, because when we say things with the right feeling, then right things happen. Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much for coming to the show, for having beautiful chat, and for sharing your love for music and the emotions you showed through music to us. For me, it was very enjoyable, and I tried to do meditation at the same time, closed my eyes. So that was very, very cool. I hope to hear you live at some point in my life. So we'll have to come down to your Bali house in Estonia. Um, and
Exactly. We can trip until morning here.
yes,
That's what we do.
beautiful. Thank you again so much, and I will see you soon.
See you too, and thank you for inviting. It was a pleasant 1.5, 1.25
Yeah,
and a half.
likewise. Best
Yeah.
of luck. Speak soon.
Um, Speak to you soon, and thank you to all who were listening. We didn't see you, but it was it was a nice one.
Perfect. Thank you, Rivo.
Goodbye.
All right, and that concludes our show for today. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Stay present, stay in the moment, be true to yourself, remove all the onions of who you think you are, and try to discover really what it means to be you and how to live life as you. Uh, my name is Dmitry Sarle. I was your host, and I'll see you next time. Over and out.